right, so did you see part one of my fishing trip from yesterday? I gotta tell you, it included one of the most amazing fishing experiences of my entire life. If you didn't see it, I'll link to it here. I'll also include a link at the end of this video. Without further delay, part two begins in 3, 2, 1. Oh, it might be enough.
Aggressive.
Another bite. For a holy jolly color. There's a speckled trout, speckled trout. That's a pretty trout. Days.
Got a few fried fish. Before this fish finally... Might be another red. Well, it's acting like a bass. Now he's acting like a red. Just not a big one. It's funny how different those reds bite when compared to those bass. They're certainly more aggressive, no doubt. Healthy fish. Again, so white. Just unusual for these marshes. See you, buddy. That's almost the exact spot where we hooked the tag red. Probably not a coincidence. But when the bass hit, they just kind of mouth it, maybe run off with it. You can tell they're a lot more sluggish in this cold water than the reds are. The reds just tattoo it. They blister it. You can almost tell before you set the hook. There we go. You can almost tell before you set the hook whether it's a red or a bass. Just by the tap. I think most of these fish I'm missing are bass. They're just not feeding aggressively. So that wind's really starting to pick up. You can't tell in this little bayou, but we'll know when we get out to the bigger water, targeting speckled trout. But believe me, I could stay in here and do this all day because I love it. Felt like it might have been a hit. Yep, it was a hit. That's a bass. Yep, that's a bass. Come on, buddy. I'll see you. Hooked right in the edge of the mouth again. Barely got him. Boy, it's a good reason why you want to downsize baits. Look at this fish just spit up. Some type of little tiny baby minnow. That's why you want to fish big stuff in the wintertime. Really, this is just bitterly cold water for South Louisiana. It doesn't get this cold often. Heck, the snow we got 3 days ago stayed on the ground until yesterday in many areas. That doesn't ever happen. There's a fish. I think he got everything. He got it all. All right, see if you'll hit again. It tastes just as delicious as it did before. Don't fail me. There he is. He didn't miss it that time. Nope. Look again. Right in the edge of the mouth.
All right, so I'm running through GoPro batteries like an X Games snowboarder. Apparently these things do not like cold weather. And it's still very chilly here in South Louisiana. So I had to switch cameras. Now, a smart man would probably leave right now. Had great success catching these bass and reds. Probably go ahead and catch those speckled trout or see if they're biting. But I just can't leave this. I gotta make a couple more casts. 2 bites on that cast. Didn't set the hook on either because they both spit it. And another bite. Oh, he didn't spit it. Pretty bass, pretty bass. Look at this guy. It's just too easy. It's too easy. That doesn't mean it's not a whole lot of fun though. See you, buddy. Low water is the marsh fisherman's friend this time of year. There's no doubt about it. Now, of course, you got to be careful. You don't want to get stuck. When you can find these deep areas back in the marsh, boy, it's just silly. So I had a great 12 months of fishing this year. Probably topped off by catching a tarpon back in August, fishing with Captain Little Ross Eichhorn. My first tarpon in my fishing career, and it was definitely a big thrill. I had to work hard all day for the fish, and boy, it was just a thrill. But I've got to tell you, catching that tagged red is a close second. I fish a whole lot. I mean, I fish a whole lot, and I've never caught a tagged fish. So that really, really means a lot to me. I've tagged close to 1,000 fish in my fishing career, but I've never once caught one myself. There's a fish. There's another miss. Wow. All right. That's my cue. Time to go. Now, it might seem a little crazy leaving feeding fish, but I just want to go check on those speckled trout. Might not happen today. This wind might really mess me up. Slow water shouldn't hurt at all, and definitely the water temperature is right in that perfect zone, so I'm not concerned about that. But I don't have a whole lot of time, so I'm going to make a quick pass and see if I can catch some speckled trout. So that would be the perfect ending to what has really been pretty much the perfect day. I got about a 20-minute run, but it's going to seem like 2 seconds to you. See you on the flip side. All right, so I told you that wouldn't be long. We do have this hard west wind. It's not terrible. Got a little bit of protection from these rocks, but there's like a million boats fishing out here. So I traded in my baby brush hog for a holy jolly colored matrix shad. This water's gorgeous in here, and it's just a great bait in clean water. All right, so I just boated my first trout of the day. Unfortunately, the camera had died, so you didn't get to see it. So you're gonna take my word for it. But the fish was holding off these rocks on one of these ledges, which they often do. Just a ton of anglers fishing along these rocks today, and I really don't like that. I hate fishing around crowds. I'd much rather get away, catch fewer fish, but kind of have them all to myself. There's a fish. There's a fish. Come in, baby. All right, speckled trout. Speckled trout. Whew, this fish is cold, 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 cold. And he was hooked deep. He hit it pretty hard too. That's a good sign. Really, really glad to see that. Pretty fish. Maybe 14, 15 inches. I'm gonna put him in the box. So these fish are definitely holding off the rocks. They're not close in at all. They're on these ledges. Boy, if you're from out of town, you've never eaten speckled trout, whew, you don't know what you're missing. They're delicious. It's the most popular fish here in South Louisiana by a mile. We've got bazillions of them. Keeping a few doesn't hurt a thing. Just had an oyster lugger pass. Boy, he's got some big waves coming. Well, I tell you what's gonna happen soon is me shedding this jacket. It's starting to get warm. You'd never know about that fish though. He was icy cold. We are right at the end of the falling tide. As low as the water is, you think there's no way it could still be falling, but it is. I know it's gonna quit soon. It has to. Really not a big tidal range today at all, but this west wind is continuing to blow the water out. Both the trout I caught really hit aggressively. Big, big contrast to those bass. Water temp in here is only 53 degrees, not very warm. Now, of course, that's on the surface. Down in this deeper water, it's certainly a little bit warmer than that. So I just got checked by Louisiana Department of Wildlife and Fisheries. Good dudes, very, very nice, very respectful, very courteous. They looked at my ice chest, made sure I wasn't over the limit. Also checked my license. You've really got nothing to fear from those guys as long as you're obeying the law. And to be honest, I'm very, very glad they're out here because not everybody obeys the law. All right, the coat and coveralls have come off. Man, I feel a lot better. So this wind's a little worse than I thought it was. I'm probably gonna have to break out the drift sock. The sea anchor, which I guess is the technical term for it. Oh, nice! What did he smack it? Speckled trout, speckled trout. He's a baby. Little one's gotta eat too. The fish is long and lanky. He's actually maybe 12 inches, but he sure isn't fat. He's really close, but I'm gonna let him go. Boy, it's wintertime speckled trout fishing 101. You just got to get the bait down and fish it extremely slowly. Now, unlike a lot of wintertime fishing, the fish are really pouncing on the bait. They're hitting it hard. So every fish I've caught has been well off the rocks. But like an idiot, I keep throwing toward the rocks. So now I'm going to try out. There's a fish. Nice. That's a pretty trout. No measurement required. And he smacked it. That fish was way, way, way off these rocks. This water's so low, you feel like everything probably is pulled out to these ledges. There's another one. He's a bit smaller, but he might make it. He might make it. They don't have to be fat, they just have to be 12 inches. And he's 13. Boy, these are the days. Oh, that's a good trout. He hit it like a good trout. He's not all that big though, but he is big enough. About a 13 incher. We're gonna measure just to make sure. Oh yeah. Well, every day is different out here. It always takes a little bit of time to figure them out. Figure out where they're holding. Today they're holding on the ledges. All right, so it's time for a little lunch. I'm starving. What better to eat while catching this week's fish than last week's fish? Got a few fried fish. They were better last night when they were hot and crispy, but they're not too bad. I made these fish a little bit differently. Followed a recipe given to me by a friend of mine. Marinated them for half a day in milk, pickle juice, Worcestershire sauce, and hot sauce. Did magical things to these trout fillets. Trout are good anyway, but this is a nice change of pace. Oh, I forgot one other ingredient, mustard. Very important, yellow mustard. Well, this drift sock really is a lifesaver. Slows your roll on these windy days so much. And fishing in the winter almost always means wind. Well, I tell you, it's amazing how many bites I've gotten directly under the boat, just jigging straight up and down. That's not a big fish, it's a throwback, but still, he was right under the boat. Well, I've definitely seen faster trout bites, obviously. Sometimes you catch them every cast, but these are the bites I like. When you have to work a little bit for the fish, every fish feels so rewarding. You gonna hit again? Are you gonna hit again? Feel free. Oh! Gave me 3 chances, I missed on all 3. Shame on me. So definitely a winner. Slow and steady wins the race. Just barely picking that bait up and putting it back down, and that's it. Ooh, that wind just went to a different level. That's not good. Big cloud over the sun, maybe that's why. What was that? That was bizarre. What the hell is going on? There's a fish. Oh, it felt like I got a bunch of bites before this fish finally committed. The keeper. Pretty trout, pretty trout. That was bizarre. Now I cast way out away from the rocks and got multiple hits before I connected on this one. There he is. There he is. I got you. Feels like he's foul hooked. Or he's nice. Yep, he's foul hooked. He's definitely not nice. Sorry, buddy. That hurt. Sorry. Sorry. It'll heal. You'll forget all about it tomorrow. So long. Get out there and grow. There's a fish. He didn't spit it. He gave me quite a while. He's more than 12. All right. That fish hit when I was playing with the trolling motor. Thought for sure he was not going to be there when I was finally able to set the hook, but he still was. It's a great thing with braided line. You feel every hit so well. Fish breathes on it and you know it. Especially comes in handy this time of year. Now this braid's getting really frayed. I just noticed it today. I've had it on here months, if not more than a year. Now I do have a trick. If you haven't seen it yet, I'll link to it. A trick to double the life of your braided line. I'm going to do it to this reel when I get home today. Getting home today is something I should be doing right now. But how do you leave this? It takes more self-discipline than I have at the moment. I know a lot of you love summer, and I get it. I understand. I like going to the beach. Certain things about summer I really like. When it comes to fishing, boy, I just love winter. I love it. All right, so I think our tide has quit, and that means our fish have quit, and that's telling me it's time for me to quit. One of the best fishing days of my life, just an absolute blast. Caught bass, redfish, speckled trout, and obviously the highlight of the day by far was catching that tagged red. I cannot wait to get home and get the information about where that fish was caught and who caught it and how far it traveled, how much it grew. Man, it's just it's gonna be a thrill. Just so cool. Man, I love fishing. Cannot wait to get back here and do it again. Hopefully you'll join me. If I don't see you out here in the marsh, I will definitely see you on Marsh Man Masson on YouTube. Until then, get out on the water. Good luck.